will just do it for you. What's up, YouTube? I'm doing a YouTube segment. It's the middle of the end of Pride Parathon. I know I said I was going to be uploading heavy. The videos are there. It's just y'all start watching them, so I feel bad dropping 2-3 videos a week because like y'all like. I want to talk to you. Let me hit you with the LA Night. Let me talk to you. Yeah. My chat believes that some Republicans or the party as a whole has fished too deep in the pond. They've dived way too deep into the rabbit hole. They are 4 layers into Dante's Inferno, and we're wondering if it is okay to say whether or not the Republican Party should be removed. And as a leftist, I'm going to say no. But Paradigm, you are correct. I will take that out. Shut up. But I will say I am not advocating that this idea is wrong. I'm saying you are presenting it terribly. There was a content creator that I was on a panel with, or a discussion with, not a panel. We were having a conversation, and it was a theoretical conversation, and it got a little heated at the end because I confused what he was going for, but he let me know later on that what he was angling for wasn't what I was. I took it too far with like what I was saying, but he understood why I got to that point. And he admitted that, like, under no pretense of us knowing each other, there was no way I would look deeper into it to say, damn, you did that. He was like, I wasn't trying to trap you, whatever. Anyway, I bring that up to say in this one that I remember that conversation because it felt like I was being asked to reverse justify fascism as an okay thing if liberals, the left, got in power. Here is the tricky part about polarization in political science. I could say wholeheartedly, it is clear and obvious that the Republican Party is operating under an agenda that, like, the normal, regular community member in the United States would not go for. Like banning trans shit and calling trans people, and well, they're not even calling trans people anymore. They're calling anybody who's not cis a fucking pedophile at this point. We've already gotten to that point, so we're not even getting to the hyperbole on that. Those people, I could say within confidence, should not be a part of the US government. I think that's a prerequisite. We're not talking about opinions anymore. We're talking about methods and lifestyles. Thank God babies won't be aborted anymore and they can live a fruitful life. Yet we have insane child poverty in, like, the States. The contradictions, I'm treating you as though you're smart. So I'm letting you know that they're all just reactionaries. But for you to go backwards and for you to go back and say, well, yeah, they're all stupid and dumb. They shouldn't have the right to vote, or they shouldn't hold office. People are going to say, well, that's a slippery slope. I'm going to re-reference a video that I already made. Said, what do you expect the life to be like in 5,000 years? In this current quote unquote culture war, in the rise of the far right, etc., I think anybody right now with a brain knows what's going on. I am hoping that the average person is informed enough to just see that, like, they're not doing the inward silent jokes anymore. They're just saying it out loud, right? We always say that. They're saying it out loud. I'm talking the party should be allowed to. No, we're going deeper than that. 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 Sorry, they did not say that, but it encompasses a thought, and I'm just going to still say we're going deeper than that. The Republican Party, and I really need y'all to focus because we're going to go under the assumption that inside of this hypothesis, we are also agreeing to the terms that the Democrats will enable the Republicans to do this. They are not the preceders of this, but they are quite simply the enablers of it. Not stopping it is enabling it. Correct? We all agree on that. The party has been hijacked by a rabid sound of these people who don't believe in real shit. Germany's far-right AfD wins vote to lead district for first time. A far-right alternative for Germany candidate won a vote on Sunday to become a district leader in Europe's biggest economy for the first time, a breakthrough for the party which hit records high in national polls. The 10-year-old AfD, to which Germany's mainstream parties officially refused to cooperate due to its radical views, won a runoff vote in the Sonnenberg district in the eastern state of Thuringia, with its candidate garnering 52.8% of the vote. And look at the contrast between that and this from a while ago. A 28-year-old German student is standing trial in Dresden accused of funding a criminal organization and committing 6 serious attacks on neo-Nazis in an unusual case of violent left-wing extremism in Germany. Did CAG just derail us? No. This is what we're talking about. This is the point. Matter of fact, CAG just put us on the perfect train because my whole point was, as I'm addressing this and why I brought up the past conversation, is because it doesn't come from just the right. Remember how I said that Democrats enable it? Welcome back, Brianna Joy Gray, to the fucking show. Because why would you ever have a thumbnail, a thing where it says what RFK Jr. gets right, wrong about vaccines? I pressed epidemiologist Dr. Vinay Prasad. I remember that name.
By the summer of 2021, it was apparent from Provincetown, Massachusetts, and other instances that you would get people who were vaccinated were still able to catch the virus and transmit the virus. That means all the mandates that happened in the fall, which was when Biden pushed the mandates, were medically unethical because you cannot compel an intervention on a third party if it provides, you cannot compel a medical intervention on somebody unless there is a benefit to third parties. But by the fall of 2021, we knew that that wasn't the case. Now, I want to point out, we could have made Pfizer answer the question. In the randomized trial Pfizer ran in 2020, we could have asked them to swab people randomly and their households randomly, and we would have had an estimate of transmission. But over and over again, you'll see that, to some degree, both administrations give the companies the benefit of the doubt, the easiest path.
Being treated differently than other kinds of medication in a way that would increase the risks of vaccines as compared to other types of medication.
Okay, so to be fair to RFK, what I think he is saying is the following, which is that there have been many vaccine studies where you randomize people to the vaccine you're interested in, and the control arm is either a different vaccine, like not a saltwater injection, or the vaccine without the active ingredient, but maybe with some of the preservative or some of the adjuvant. Okay.
And the preservative is the problem, allegedly, with these vaccines. It is the mercury or the aluminum or whatever that is the preservative.
Well, that's what he thinks. I think there's no problem for most of it, but okay. But, that's what he thinks. So, so if you have his worldview.
Game fucking over. You cannot be a doctor and immediately say, allegedly, that's his view. It's not like I agree with him, but I'm going to let him say it. Okay. If you know something is absurd, guys, okay, we're going to repeat this for like the 93,337th time. What have I fucking been talking about this entire time? The ironic becomes unironic very, very fucking quickly. We're there. We're there.
What
the fuck is this piece of shit?
That's the problem. And the control arm is not getting, I think what he means is the control arm is not getting pure salt water. Now, I want to point out that at least in one trial, to my knowledge, in the Gardasil studies, there was a control arm that did get pure salt water. Now, now I had somebody from the pharmaceutical company, we were texting earlier, and then this person writes, quote, "What is a proper placebo is not an easy question. Saline, the vehicle and not saline, perhaps a solvent or additive, the vehicle and some other things. Each has pluses and minuses. There's no perfect placebo." So let me unpack that a little bit. So if you use salt water versus your vaccine, the plus is that any fever, headache, nausea, you're going to find more of that because the control arm should not cause any fevers or headaches. It's salt water for, absolutely. So you'll be better at picking up the safety. The downside is, maybe people will kind of get the feeling like I'm not getting anything and they maybe behave differently, et cetera. Like you may have some unblinding going on. So maybe if you have an adjuvant and they get a little fever too, then maybe they'll think they got something and their behavior will be the same. You know what I mean? So
I see.
So that will sort of control better for the efficacy question. So I think to RFK's point, look, I concede to him that if what he's saying is they didn't all have.
You, under no circumstances, have to hand it to them.
Saltwater control arms, true. And if what he's saying is that means you can't take the package safety comparison, with at face value, it may increase more fevers, et cetera. True. But the flip side is that doesn't prove his case that it's linked to autism. It doesn't prove that case.
Right. But it does disprove the counter argument, which everyone brings up to him, which is that there have been however many dozens of studies or 14 studies, whatever they are, that have looked for a link and found none. If in all of those studies, they're still injecting people with whatever the preservative is that he thinks is the causal agent.
Oh, okay. Well, let me come back to that.
This is the same man that said he doesn't know how Wi-Fi breaks the blood-brain barrier. And yet he still believes Wi-Fi does that.
I'm reading it right now.
What do you say to folks who might wave around the Lazarus study?
And I'm reading it right now. So this is by the AHRQ, which is the Agency of Healthcare Quality Research. It's by Ross Lazarus, and it's called Electronic Support for Public Health Vaccine Adverse Reporting System. This is the study you're talking about, 2010 study. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, look, his point is well taken, in my opinion. And in many ways, one, I'll give you two more recent examples, which is that although we in the United States kept telling people we have the best surveillance system in the world, in two important ways, we proved that we didn't. Both the vaccine-induced thrombocytopenia and thrombosis, which was linked to the adenoviral vector vaccines Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca, that signal was detected in Europe. They gave a lot more AZ there. They saw the signal first. The signal of myocarditis in healthy young men was detected in the Jerusalem by the Israelis in the Jerusalem Post in February. I think there's a quote from Rochelle Walensky in Reuters where he said, "We've looked at 100 million cases and I haven't seen the signal," end quote, something like that. Mm-hmm. We can pull that quote. She said that many months later, when the European EMA said it was a real signal, and then ultimately we conceded. So to RFK's point in a few dimensions, one, I agree we have indemnified the manufacturers, meaning they cannot be litigated for vaccine injury. I disagree with that. They should be able to be litigated. In America, I think you should be able to be litigated for any medical product. I agree with him. It creates perverse incentives in the marketplace. So I think we should allow litigation. The second thing I'd say is this surveillance system the gold standard surveillance system? Absolutely not. And so everybody who opposes him, even people who are pro-vaccines, should be able to say, we need a better surveillance system. We miss some of these signals in the US because in order to report to VAERS, you have to have the ID and the...
Motherfucker. Is that our good friend Varys back in the story again? Oh, we love a good Varys tale. Jesus Christ, man.
The back of your head that the myocarditis was linked to the vaccine. If that idea is not in your head, you may not even report the case.
Oh my God, because you didn't think about it. Why would you think about it? Bro, that's the equivalent of anything is a possibility. It just has to happen. Please, yo, I'm just begging. God, if you can hear me right now, please bring a Velociraptor back. I just want one. They'll never take it down. Bring the Raptors back.
Mm-hmm. And so we have other systems like, the vaccine safety data link system that do try to do a better job there, but I think they're still inadequate. So I agree with him. If his solution is we need a much better safety system run by a non-conflicted agency with a ban on revolving door politics, he's got my vote. I mean, I agree to that. No doubt about it.
It's so funny that she calls it bad faith. And she's been going on a whole, like, what will Biden do to, you can excuse yourself from voting in an election, but you cannot excuse yourself from the consequences of what happens if you don't. 100 million people had a chance to make a difference in 2016, and they chose not to. This is what happens. Don't make the same mistake again. What will Biden do to ensure black voter turnout other than telling us we ain't black unless we vote for him and forcing us to restart student loan payments? Y'all are really obsessed with me. Anyway, have a good night. Remember, you don't have to vote for Joe Biden, and there's nothing you can do to scare me out of tweeting that simple truth. Obama is letting Americans know that DNC has selected Biden just like they selected Obama. Everyone needs to revisit the DNC fraud lawsuit where Bruce Spiva argued that DNC doesn't owe you a fair election because it's a corporation. Hot take that might okay. You absolutely do not have to this is what started it. You absolutely do not have to vote for Joe Biden, even if you live in a swing state. Hot take that might make the lefties mad. This is voter suppression. Making people believe that voting third party or not voting is some form of liberation of freedom from the two-party system is how right-wing extremism has taken hold of states across the country. Call it what you want. It remains true that you absolutely do not have to vote for Biden. Ironically, this smug, dishonest, pathetic attempt at shading will turn more people off the Democratic Party than I ever could. Olivia Giuliana, voter suppressor extraordinaire. I don't even have to further comment. This response speaks loudly enough for itself. You do you, Brie. I hope this gets some clicks to your podcast. As you can see, I bookmarked it because I was going to talk about it. So we ended up here anyway because it led to this comment. Telling a black person whose community is doing harm reduction, voting for generations, that is really about a podcast and not the negative material effects of being ignored by corporate duopoly because of VBNMW is a choice, but it's a free country. That freedom includes the right to vote green. Glad you're going to stop trolling me with your boring duopoly endorsing tweets and go back to the important work of getting Jim Crow Joe elected. Unlike you, I get nothing out of this engagement. The Democratic National Committee. Read 2016 GOP presidential candidates. Friends, this memo is intended to outline the strategy and goals a potential Hillary Clinton presidential campaign would have regarding the 2016 Republican presidential field. Clearly, most of what is contained in this memo is work the DNC is already doing. This exercise is intended to put those ideas to paper. Our hope is that the goal of a potential HRC campaign in the DNC would be one and the same, to make whoever the Republicans nominate unpalatable to a majority of the electorate. We have outlined 3 strategies to obtain our goal. Force all Republican candidates to lock themselves in extreme conservative positions that will hurt them in a general election, undermine any credibility, trust Republican presidential candidates have to make inroads to our coalition or independence, muddy the waters on any potential attack lodged against Hillary Rodham Clinton. Operationalizing the strategy. Pied Piper candidates. There are 2 ways to approach the strategies mentioned above. The first is to use the field as a whole to inflict damage. They talking in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, similar to what happened to Mitt Romney in 2012. The variety of candidates is a positive here, and many of the lesser known can serve as a cudgel to move the more established candidates further to the right. In this scenario, we don't want to marginalize the more extreme candidates, but make them more Pied Piper candidates who actually represent the mainstream of the Republican Party. Pied Piper candidates include, but are not limited to, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, Ben Carson. We need to be elevating the Pied Piper candidates so they are leaders of the pack and tell the press to take them seriously. This is the same person. She literally sounds like a woman from the CIA ad. Your arguments about harm reduction voting would probably carry more weight if your cover photo wasn't you literally standing grinning ear to ear with Kamala Harris. Just a suggestion for the next time you launch a lecture thread directed at left independence. My great-grandparents immigrated to this country with little to nothing. My grandfather lived in dirt floor houses, and my dad dropped out of college and started a physical labor job to provide for his family. I'm proud that I've been able to get this far for them. And as a Latin woman, I'm proud to be happy that a woman of color is our vice president, Cope, and that their daughter and granddaughter will be the first in my immediate family to graduate from college because of the Pell Grant expansions and American Rescue Plan that this administration provided. Yo, what's going on with people? I got expelled from high school because I wore red and black on Pride Day. What? What? I feel like you missing a whole you missing a whole story there. Like there's a whole section there. What is going on? What is going on? Which brings us all the way back. To this and the final mention. The inroads of fascism lay deep because it requires you to do something that I think anybody who's watching right now does not do. And that is ignore your surroundings. Fascism requires you to say, and I want you to repeat this, that's not happening. Who says that most? Who says that most? That's not happening. Candace Owens will tell you it's the left, right? What do you do in Tekken? Condition. I'm telling you, I'm gonna go low. 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 Dash low. Dash low. Dash low. Eventually, you're gonna figure out all I've been doing is dashing and going low. So you go to block low the next time. I hit you with the mix-up. The left is the problem. The left is the problem. They're the crazy ones. Look, they're saying that kids aren't being mutilated. Look at it. They're saying all this. They're saying it's not happening, but I can find examples of it. Just like I proved earlier that Ashley St. Clair made up a fake story with Ali London and started spreading it on Twitter today. It took me 5 minutes to figure that out. Less than that. It was like 2 minutes and 10 seconds. We are enablers of this because we let them. We let them. If we wanted to take them down, everybody watches the H3 podcast. From now on, any sponsor, any brand, click, 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 press, press. Do you agree with this? Do you agree with this? Do you agree with this? That's the whole point of getting these people out in public, right? I'm just saying, we got to try a little harder.